Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. Full team effort. Full team effort in 48 minutes of play. The Brooklyn Nets actually shot the ball well. There's a stat going around that they have the highest effective field goal percentage in a playoff loss at 65%. They were actually shooting well and still lost by 20. This thing wasn't even close. You want to get the ball out of Joel Embiid's hands, fine. But he found his teammates very beautifully. He dished the rock around fantastic. And then his teammates drilled some shots. PJ Tucker was a dog, grabbed a lot of offensive rebounds, 5 to be exact. He had 5 steals too. Oh, by the way, he made some threes. That was impressive. Paul Reed in his bag. How about that? James Harden. Okay, can't finish near the rim. Missed a couple of layups. Irritating for sure, and then had a matchup with Spencer Dinwiddie and broke his damn ankles. Step back three, cash, nothing but net. He was ridiculous from behind the arc. Every single player did their role today. George Niang, McDaniels. There was a time where DeAnthony Melton on a fast break ends up cashing a huge three of his own. Sixers had a nice little push there. They're clearly the better basketball team, and that looked pretty much how I thought this game was going to look. They won't let Joel Embiid beat them. Okay. Every single other player will too. That's the problem. They can too. Tobias Harris, 21 in 29 minutes of play. He was solid. Always a lot of hate towards Tobias. He was so good. He did his thing. Made some threes, 3 of them to be exact. Perfect from the three-point land. That's awesome. You have a little bit of time off because of the play-in tournament. So you wonder, what's it going to look like? Now, the Nets are a pesty team. So them hanging around, you look down at the scoreboard, it feels like it would be a bigger lead, but it's only 7. It's only 8. But the Sixers clearly in control. You make a 3 on one end, and then, unfortunately, the Nets counter with a 3 of their own. Seth Curry makes a tough bucket. Mikal Bridges, who's a stud, by the way. Holy hell. Right? Like, I thought he was going to be a good 3-and-D guy in this league, and I'm not telling you he's exactly who I'm about to mention. But there were times when he was rising up for his jump shot that it did visually look similar to Kevin Durant. He's not Kevin Durant. I'm not saying he is Kevin Durant, but just the way he gets up, it's his size, it's his length, it's the way it hits the back iron and nothing else. The net barely moves. I'm like, damn, dude, this guy's something else. He is legit. He's pretty damn fun to watch, man. He continues this trajectory, and who knows what his ceiling is going to be. But yeah, there were a couple times where that happened. Then you look down and the Nets are still in range. They're going to be pesty. They were always going to, make you work. But they didn't have enough talent to actually do anything about it. They don't match up talent-wise, but they can make you play hard. That's who the Brooklyn Nets are going to be, unless this snatches their soul. Because seriously, at what point, if you're Brooklyn, not that you really needed this to tell you that you're not on this level yet. I could have told you that for free before the ball was even tipped off in game 1. But when you shoot this well, and it's not as if Joel Embiid had 50. He didn't need to. You dared the rest of the crew. You dared PJ. Well, PJ did it. Even when the Sixers weren't shooting well, they were up after the first quarter because of all the second chance opportunities. forcing the Brooklyn Nets, turning the ball over, scoring off of those turnovers. Massive difference. But there's a reason why they were sloppy with the basketball. It's because of what the Sixers are to force you in those spots. So if you're Brooklyn, what else can you really do? Are you going to try something else instead of actively rushing Joel? Say, fine. All right, Joel. You do it this time. I'll tell you what's going to happen. He'll do it then. he can do that. Because taking James Harden's guy off of James Harden and trying to blitz Joel and apply pressure and throw different guys his direction and look for different angles to maybe confuse him. The dude is so good at finding his teammates. 4 years ago, maybe you could get away with it. And look, Brooklyn's desperate. I don't knock them for going this way. This is probably your best bet. This is probably your best opportunity to win a basketball game. And you know what that gets you if you're Brooklyn? Losing by 20 points. Losing by 20. If you want to say, well, the Sixers probably won't hit as many threes. Fair. I don't think they miss as many layups. I don't think it's as poor around the rim. So it goes both ways. But it's nice to see James healthy with the hammy. Those buckets fall because he's healthy. I'm sure everybody got a bit nervous when Joel, first play of the game, falls on his knee. You see the ball go out of bounds, and you're like, oh my God, he just completely fell over. And then, of course, when he went up for the big jam, you could see the sea parting and him take action and him run right through the middle of the paint, and you thought it would bring the house down. And the way he fell to the ground there, you're like, oh my God, I don't know how much I can handle. I don't know how much more I can take of this. I started freaking out. My initial reaction is to make some sort of noise. I don't even know what noise came out of my mouth. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. My dog starts barking. She was sleeping on the floor. She started jumping up. She went nuts, and I had to run to the back door and let her outside so she would stop giving me a headache. Oh, it was a mess. But what wasn't a mess was your Philadelphia 76ers taking control. As I was mentioning earlier, the play-in tournament. You're off for a while. What do you look like game one? Is there rust? Is it beauty from tip-off? It's hard to sweep a team and win 4 straight games. It's not easy. So there's always scenarios that you can lay out. When would Brooklyn get their one? Is it possible, and bear with me for a minute here, that when you go up 2-0, you head back to Brooklyn for game 3, you kind of sleep a little bit. You sleepwalk because you think you got it in the bag, and then that's where Brooklyn finds their one. I'm just trying to lay out a scenario where the opponent, who is significantly less talented, squeezes one out. Could it be when you're up 2-0, you're a little comfortable? And by the way, you go to Brooklyn, it's probably going to be a bunch of Sixers fans. I'd imagine that place will be rocking with MVP chants and a lot of Joel Embiid love and a lot of blue jerseys. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the fans travel up 95 to pack that barn. But could that be one where the Nets get a W on the board? Or is it, and this is prior to seeing the results today, it's game 1. You are rusty. Shots just don't fall. Because that was the narrative early in this game, right? They have good looks. They have wide open shots. You have to put it in the basket. That's the name of the game. Get it through the hoop. Right? Let's get it in for 2 or for 3, please. So could that have been one that the Nets find one? Well, the Sixers made sure that wasn't the case. And they made a damn statement doing it. I like hearing what Doc Rivers was saying about what they did this week. Talking about the making sure the passes are right on the money, making sure the passes are in the pocket so shooters can shoot. They were looking at it similar to baseball, a ball or a strike. If you're passing the basketball to your teammates and it's a ball, that most likely is going to result in a miss. But if you find the teammates right on the money and you find them right where it needs to be so you can put them in a position to put up a nice shot, it more times than not works. So you can tell the emphasis, you can tell the stress on that. Because one thing I really noticed, how quickly that ball was moving. As soon as Embiid got it, they could sense that something was coming. Bang, bang. The ball is just whipping around. Teammates open. Ball is moving. Guys are wide open. So something that they targeted during this past week, I think, was on full display. What Doc wanted, the team did. And it was great. It was great. Not all of this will necessarily relate to a different series with a different matchup and Boston's length and the way Boston will defend. But as for right now, all we can control is this. All you can do is take it one game at a time and look at what's in front of you right now. We'll get to the Maxey stuff, and we'll get to if Maxey can handle his own against what Boston does. Clearly, he hasn't been able to in his career to this point. We'll talk about Tobias and what I think he brings to the table defensively against a Jason Tatum that sometimes gets overlooked. But you got to get there, and when you do get there, which is expected, how does it look? What's the eye test? This is the best you can ask for, no? Smack him around. Knee them in the face. Hit him with the big knee. Be Adesanya. Last week in the UFC, get that right hook and bang, drop him. Have the counter left too. Square in the nose. Put them on the ground. Have their head snap back. That's the way that we need to see this team compete in round one. Because in the NBA playoffs, this isn't the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. An 8th seed doesn't win wins the Stanley Cup in the NHL. They can do that a lot easier than in NBA action. The reason I bring that up, you need to show that you're a 1 through 3 seed team. They look different. Those teams, you could see the clear separation in round one. Look what Boston did against the Atlanta Hawks. Those teams, they have such a strong, even though the Hawks did rally a little bit there towards the end, they have a strong tone that's set. That's set. Jaylen Brown had 29 and 12 in that W. What did Tatum finish with? What was the final box score for him? He had 25 and 11. Shot 10 of 23 from the field. Jaylen Brown, 12 of 23 from the field. Only went 8 deep off the bench. Interesting. Yeah, the beginning of the fourth quarter was 94-75 Boston. They were up 20 points at the beginning of that fourth quarter, basically. And then it got a little bit closer there, but not enough. Anyway, I'm proud of this team. You can run through their entire the entire box score and look at the entire team and realize that there was an area that every player had their turn. There's something that every player did well. That was huge. PJ, monstrous. No surprise. This is what he lives for. This is why he was brought here. This is his strength. When the games get to this point in the season, PJ becomes a different player. I don't believe that the style of regular season basketball suits the old man. He's played a lot. He's got a lot of miles on himself. Up and down, no defense, open floor. That's Ben Simmons shit. That's what that is. That's Ben Simmons crap. It works then. PJ Tucker's not that style of player. Let the game slow down. And even at times, I got to admit, that I thought this game had a decent pace for a playoff game. I expected it to be slower with the possessions, but it had some movement. Now, when Brooklyn turns the ball over and the Sixers are kind of countering some of those, there you go. You can move up the floor that way. It will get even slower. But for PJ, the game slows down. Now the defense intensity even rises from a guy like that. It's more difficult. I'm not saying it's easier to play in the half court because the intensity of those defensive possessions are night and day. But PJ thrives in this. Look at where he's been. Look at what he's done. Look at the teams that he's been on. Look how far they've went. It speaks for itself. So I'm not shocked. I'm not stunned. When he was playing poorly, that was all my message was. I brought up Keith Pompey's article that he was writing early on. It's not pretty, but just wait. I know it's not easy to watch, but just wait. I know you can't fast forward to the playoff time. I know you can't just automatically have spring basketball in your homes. But when we do transition to that time, he's going to make a difference. His impact will be felt with things that are on the box score and sometimes with things that just don't even pop up. You know, we see after the game that he's cursing out Paul Reed because he didn't like what he saw. He got into his grill. He made it known that this isn't what I feel is necessary. That spark internally, the fire that the teammate brings to inspire the youth. Yo, Paul, Embiid's not playing 48 minutes. Your number's going to get called. We need you. Guys like PJ Tucker and their pedigree speaks high volume. And it helps other teammates when he gets in the face of them and his voice carries. You need that. You need that veteran presence. Guys made some deep playoff runs. It was a fantastic, fantastic day at the Wells Fargo Center. And I expect some fantastic calls out of you on the Anytime Hotline. So let's do that now. Here we go.
Bros, I don't want to hear another fucking fan bitch about PJ Tucker. What we saw today is exactly why we picked him up. It's the hustle that he brings, the energy in going after all those offensive rebounds. Literally, I feel like half of those offensive rebounds were directly tied to him. I mean, it's like that's why we signed him. Maybe it wasn't as apparent in the regular season, but you just have to trust, like, he's a veteran, he's been around, he knows what he's doing, he's a seasoned pro. And that was on full display today. I have no doubt in considering that that's going to be a recurring theme, at least through the series. I feel like it's going to hold throughout the rest of the playoffs, but like that's just prime example of why we've brought PJ Tucker. Overall, really solid win. It was great to see everyone, show up, play their role. They tried to play the anyone but Embiid defense that clearly didn't work thanks to everyone else hitting their shots. 21 threes is just absolutely phenomenal. And, big shout out to Embiid for getting his numbers, but still being able to find the open man when he got double teamed and being a really great contributor on the defensive end. One game down, 3 to go, and then it's on to Boston.
I think that Joel Embiid point needs to be highlighted a little bit even more. Come on, man. Come on. I mean, how sharp has he gotten all around with his game? That used to be so ridiculous, right? Turn the ball over, 9 turnovers, 8 turnovers. Couldn't feel the pressure. The way he sees the floor now, he sees it from every angle. He can smell it. He can automatically know that here comes the other team trying to give me another guy in my face, trying to put another body around me. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. What do you do if you're Brooklyn? Let me ask you a serious question right now. I'm going to put you in the shoes of the Brooklyn Nets, where do you go? What I probably do, I think I would try this again. I think I would do that. I would say, all right, those threes were falling at a crazy clip. Can James Harden hit all those threes again? Will P.J. Tucker, I'd play the number game. Will P.J. Tucker, while there will be wide open looks, I'd rather live with him taking threes than Embiid having the ball. Maybe Tobias doesn't shoot 100% from three. I would do the same thing again. Then after game 2, if it looks exactly the same way, then I would ask Joel Embiid to beat me, even though you kind of know the answer to that. What do? You have your hands tied behind your back. But I would see if the Sixers can do the same exact thing again. I would go with the no way PJ hits threes in the corner. Maybe Tobias only makes 1 3, goes 1 for 4 from deep. Is Paul Reed still going to try those similar moves? Maybe we can slow him down. Maybe we can do better in the Joel Embiid-less minutes. So when the team was Joel Embiid-less, can we do better there? The problem is, how do you make up 20 points? That's not going to be enough time to climb back into the scoreboard. They're screwed. They're screwed. But what puts you in the best position? At this point, it's really just about experience. It's really just seeing what Mikal Bridges can blossom into and how he can use this time to learn what playoff basketball is like, learn what it's like to be on the road, learn what it's like to be that guy, because that's really all this is. And that's not a bad thing, by the way. When the Sixers early on with Ben and Joel finally won a bunch of games to get themselves in the playoffs for the first time, that was the message. It was the learning experience. There's value in that. But there's no real shot Brooklyn can do anything. None whatsoever. Poor Spencer Dinwiddie, dude. Attack, attack, attack. Even their three-point shooters. Seth Curry, I was a big fan of Seth Curry here. There's nights where that dude is sick. 28, or he'll have a quarter where he hits 5 threes in one quarter. He gives you 30 plus. But as we all saw with our own eyeballs, that if you want to target that man, damn it, you can target that man. You want to put him on an island and you want to go after him at the rim and you want to break him down, you can score at will. It's just that simple. An offensive player who's nasty, but he's got a big hole on the other end. And when you want to take it, you can take it. Joe Harris. They're spacers. It's easy. You should be licking your chops knowing that those are field goals that, come on, high percentage to score. It's just reality. Screams, Sixers, all the way, or minus 800 early in the week in the series. I don't know what the number is now once they're already up 1-0, but this is no surprise. Yeah, Harden did put Dinwiddie on skates. And you can hear the crowd react, right? You can hear the oohs and the ahs. And there's been times where Harden oohs and ahs, and then it terribly hits the backboard, and it's not even close. It's like a big brick. It's like, all that for nothing. Man, Harden was cooking, dude. Harden was cooking. Harden looked healthy. Think of last year's Harden. Man, miserable. Couldn't break down a defender to save his life. Couldn't get by a defender to save his life. So couldn't break him down in isolation ball, which, by the way, James Harden excels at. Couldn't get by him. What's that going to do? And by the way, Joel Embiid needed hand surgery, face surgery. He was all over the place physically due to an elbow. Of course it looked the way that it did. And of course now, looks like it does now. Let's go back to the phones.
Hey, bros. Your favorite Celtics fan here. Just finished watching the Sixers beat the shit out of the Brooklyn Nets. I thought that was a good game plan they had. Also, Harden was able to make the switch from, okay, he was getting blocked at the rim to, okay, he got his three-pointer to go in. He was being a good teammate, distributing ball, taking some charges. Embiid was unstoppable. I actually got scared when he took that fall. I think I hit in the face, and he just, boom. Luckily, he was good. PJ was hustling today, just out-schemed, out-coached, out everything. So I think you guys might sweep, maybe gentlemen. So hopefully you'll get to see the Celtics in the playoffs next round. All right.
Oh, we're definitely going to see the Celtics in the playoffs next round. The question is, can Trae Young, and I don't know how much one game makes a difference. I'm not putting as much stock into it as others, but I know this has been kind of brought up throughout the week leading into the game and kind of talking about the anticipation of this playoff run. But can Trae Young and the Hawks force the Celtics to 5 games while the Sixers take 4, and then that one game difference? Can they push the Celtics to a point where they have to work harder than you initially thought that they would have to? And my counter to that would be, if the Celtics play 5 games and the Sixers play 4, is that one game the difference in that matchup? I don't really think it is, no. If the Celtics somehow, some way, and I don't see this happening, I'm just laying it out there because who knows? It's not impossible, but it's just a super, 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 super tiny % chance that it can happen. Let's say the Hawks push it to 6. The Hawks force Boston to play 6, and the Sixers play 4. Are those 2 games of you can rest, you can get Embiid off his feet, you can get Harden, Al Horford's older, PJ Tucker's older. PJ Tucker gets to relax, Harden gets to relax, Embiid gets to relax, and they have high-pressure mileage on their bodies. I still think at the end of the day it'll come down to the matchup and their size and their wings, which has caused them problems. Not that I'm saying the Sixers are going to lose. I think the Sixers and the Celtics are going 7, and in Game 7 it could be a coin flip, and who knows how it goes. I feel good about the Sixers' chances because they're a damn good basketball team. I don't know if the 2 games is a difference. I don't know if 1 game makes a difference. I think what makes the biggest difference is, can Tyrese Maxey perform against a team he hasn't performed against? If not, can other players step up and help out Embiid and help out Maxey for not having that answer yet because maybe he's not ready in his career? It takes a little bit of time to learn how to win in this league. It takes time to understand what playoff basketball moments are like, and I don't know if Maxey's necessarily there yet. No knock on him. It's just how timing works. But then can Tobias be that answer? Can a mixture of DeAnthony Melton and Tobias be that answer to make up for what you lose in Maxey if he doesn't have the response to Boston yet? It won't be about Trae Young and the Hawks. I'm not saying it hurts. It definitely doesn't hurt. It can only help. But I'll lay it out this way. Let's say the Sixers win in 6, beat the Celtics. The Celtics went 6 or 5 with Trae Young and the Hawks. Do you think the takeaway after that series would be, they obviously won because the Celtics are just so fatigued from what happened in the first round? Or do you think it will be, man, Joel Embiid had 50 in 3 games? I'm saying 50 points in 3 straight games. Not 50 combined, obviously. If he scored 50 combined in 3 games, our asses are down 0-3. It's going to be because Harden had 40-plus in one night with 15 assists. That would be the talking point. All right, let's do one more and we'll wrap it up from there.
Hey, you know it's a good day in Sixer land anytime you can see Montrezl Harrell, Furkan Korkmaz, and Jaden Springer at the end of games. Solid win against the team that the Sixers should take out of there. No disrespect to Bridges, who's a damn good player, but this is a series that the Sixers should wrap up realistically in 4, but no more than 5. But you take each game for what it is. Luckily, Embiid didn't get hurt when he landed with his face against the guy's arm. You know, as always, you have flashbacks to injuries past. I'm glad that, you know, they finally controlled the backboard in a game. It's rare to see from the games that I have watched. So, good win in game one. Do the same thing in game two.
Perfectly said. I don't really have much more to add, to be honest with you. I think we all touched on the points that were needed to be discussed after this victory. And, you know, I'm proud of this team. They came out with some fire, and they handled their business, and they answered Brooklyn's really good shot with a 20-point victory. It's just got to be demoralizing, and that's all we can ask for out of this team in this position. Going into game one, how can you take a very effective field goal shooting style from Brooklyn, and what happens when they ask their team to get the rock out of Embiid's hands, and can you have your other teammates collectively step up? And the answer to all that was yes, and then they'll win by 20, and it was great. So thank you, guys. I love you. You're great. You're beautiful people. Appreciate you all. We'll be talking very soon. Talk to you later.